Hi guys, so Shillelagh Forgerty from LBC took a call from a Welsh Brexiteer, and in his call he claims that the EU is attempting to bleed the UK dry. Now unfortunately he got his information from a bad source, and I will explain why in a moment. Let's hear what he had to say.
Been listening to the programme. It's a great programme, but basically some of you callers really antagonised me and made me call you today.
Good.
Now, they're on about Brexit being an English project, a Conservative project. Now, the people of Wales voted to leave in larger numbers than anywhere else in the United Kingdom.
Okay, that's probably true, and I don't have a problem with that argument. People in Wales voted in larger numbers to leave, according to, in respect to their population. The other point that he raises is that it was a conservative position. Now, technically he is correct that it wasn't just a conservative position. Brexit was not just a conservative position. There are hard left, even supporters within or members within the Labour Party who are supportive of Brexit. But generally, Brexit was a right-wing idea. And you can test this theory yourself. If you ask Brexiteers enough questions, you'll get down to the core issue. And the core issue for them is immigration. They don't want foreign-sounding people in the local supermarket. They don't want people from outside the UK looking after their elderly parents or grandparents in the nursing home. They generally don't like non-British people working with them or for them or being under them in particular. Now, is it for all Brexiteers? No, but I think it's for the vast majority of them. Test this theory yourself. If you know a Brexiteer, if you poke enough, if you dig deep enough, you will get to the argument of, I don't want foreigners here. And this is why I voted to leave the European Union. But let's continue.
Okay, we are a part of the United Kingdom. We are one of the 4 countries, and we voted to leave. It is not an English, it's not a conservative thing. We stand with our neighbours like we have done for 800 years. The European Union is not prepared to move. We should have left in October and walked away, but we continue to negotiate with the European Union. They want more and more and more. It is time we left and discussed this once we've left in January.
Okay, you've already left. I'm quite bamboozled sometimes by Brexiteers when they say, we're leaving. I said, no, you've already left. This is not about leaving the European Union. This is about your relationship after you have left. You have left, okay? You left back in the very end of last January, beginning of February. You're an independent country, or whatever you'd like to call it. Brexit was implemented. What's happening now, and maybe this is news for many Brexiteers, is you're trying to, and maybe trying is maybe not the right word, but trying to build a relationship with the EU post-Brexit. This is about how you're going to trade with the EU, how you're going to deal with security or science or education or health. These are all different issues that need to be dealt with because, for some Brexiteers, they would like to turn the UK into a hermit nation, a sort of European North Korea, where you have a border and no one comes in or no one goes out. But I think the vast majority of people in the UK don't want that. They understand that the UK geographically is in Europe and you can't get away from having neighbours. And because you are a modern country, you trade with your neighbours, both in goods and services. So once again, for Brexiteers, you have left, okay? I thought that was clear for most people. What's happening now is the relationship post-Brexit.
Discussed what when we leave in January?
If the European Union is intransigent and does not want to do a deal with us by demanding 80% of our natural resources in the sea, and they want the European Court to basically decide.
Okay, so now he's gone on to the European Court. So I'm quite disappointed that Shillelagh Forgerty didn't actually stop him there and correct him. Now, this idea of the European Union want 80% of our fish. It sounds quite plausible when you say it like that. But as I've said before, this is a much more complicated issue. Now, let me explain what I'm talking about. Sorry, just pause that. I want to show you this article, and I'll leave a link in the description. It's from the Conversation, and it's a fact check on this 80% of our fish that the EU want, that the Brexiteers make. And it's quite disappointing that politicians will continue to say this, will continue to rattle it off to the public, and in many cases they're not held to account by journalists. Now, this is from the Conversation. I just want to read this section from it. You can read the entire article yourself. And please, as I've said before, don't take my word for it. Do your own research. Go and check it out for yourself. Because I'm not an expert. I'm not a journalist. I'm just a YouTuber, okay? So, but I think if I can point people in the right direction, that's what I'm going to do. So it says here in this article and this snippet, it says many species, about fish, of course, many species live in different places, either at different times of the year or in different phases in their life cycle. In the case of North Sea herring, for example, most of the juveniles live in the southeast corner of the German Bight, whereas the adults tend to congregate around the Shetland Isles prior to spawning at various sites along the British coast. North Sea cod are found throughout the North Sea, but prefer spawning along the border between UK and Norwegian waters. So as you can see here in this article, it's saying that fish don't stay in one place. Fish move around. They move around depending on the time of year, depending on their own life cycle. So fish could start off in quote-unquote European waters and then migrate or move around into British waters. This is what we've been talking about. This issue is not just we own 80% of the fish, or we want 80% of the fish, or the UK has 50% and the EU have 50%, and this is some sort of balance. Fish, there are no borders in the sea, okay? And this is the next point that's raised here. So despite the UK having quite extensive waters, fish stocks do not respect political boundaries, and many are mobile at some stage of in their life. These fish are exclusive to neither the UK, the EU, nor the bordering Scandinavian states, but are a shared resource. This is what's important. It's a shared resource. The fish start off in one area, then they travel to another area, then they're caught in an entirely other area. Now, if the ones at the beginning are not protected as a resource, then the ones at the end won't be able to take advantage of that resource. So it goes on to say, it would be a major undertaking to establish exactly which proportions of each fish stock would occupy any national waters. These are also likely to change throughout the year and from year to year. So also because of environmental effects, this is going to change. Climate change is going to have an impact on this as well. The Common Fisheries Policy was designed to manage the mobile fishing fleets that pursue these common mobile resources. So the EU say, look, if we want to protect this resource, but also to take advantage of this resource, we need to work together. We need to protect them, we need to manage them, and we have to have cooperation. We can't act as individual countries. We have to work together. Now, this to me sounds reasonable. And when the EU say we need to have access to UK waters, that's not just about collecting fish. It's about protecting those resources. It's about collecting those fish, but it's also about maintaining these stocks. Because if these stocks are not protected, they're going to disappear. And unfortunately, Brexiteers would point out just the number. They would say, oh, the EU want our fish. This is not about British waters. Nobody is talking about invading British waters. This is about the resource itself. And I wish journalists would be a bit clearer about this.
What happens in the United Kingdom We are not a sovereign nation. It's time for us to leave.
But I don't think
You have already left.
it does want the kind of jurisdiction that you're talking about there. It's about trade, isn't it? And standards and maintaining
Trade.
them.
Well, if that is the case, Sheila, why are they being intransigent? Why did they demand 80% of our natural resources in the sea when it was at 60? It went up to 80. They are intransigent. They do not want to deal. They want to bleed us dry. They want to make us look fools of Europe. Those times ago, we need to walk away.
And beggar the damage that does.
Sovereignty, I don't care what it costs.
There you had it. Sovereignty, I don't care what it costs. So this person's mind has been poisoned into thinking that this is about sovereignty. This is about protecting some abstract idea. Of course, you know, Brexiteers, and I'm talking about senior Brexiteers, have been very successful in convincing the general public into thinking that they have had something taken away from them that they had all the time. You know, it's like if I convinced you that, you know, if I convinced you that someone had stolen money out of your bank account, when in reality no one had actually accessed your bank account. That's a powerful tool I have. I'm able to make people extremely paranoid. I'm able to make them take decisions that are against their own interests, perhaps. And we can blame the likes of Nigel Farage, the Daily Mail, Boris Johnson, Jacob Rees-Mogg for doing this, for poisoning people's minds. This man thinks that the European Union want to drain the UK dry, to bleed it dry. Sorry, that were his words. And as I said in this article, it couldn't be further from the truth. It's about cooperating in order for both the UK and the EU to be able to share stocks of fish and to be able to manage them. But unfortunately, this issue has been politicized, and unfortunately, we have journalists who are incapable of actually doing any research and responding to this type of crap. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot. I want to say a big thank you to all of my patrons. You ensure that this channel continues to exist. I'm eternally grateful for all of your support. If you join Patreon, you will receive instant access to our Discord server, where we have both audio and video chats. You can chat with me and other patrons, where we discuss important and non-important issues. Becoming a patron per month costs about the same as a large coffee, so why not check it out?